Hello ladies and frogs, and welcome back to another video. So I know this video has been a long time coming. I have been back posting on social media regularly since I think March, and it's now August, and I've definitely left you guys in the dark about what was going on. I know long form videos specifically have been fewer far between. I was gone for a super long time, way longer than expected, and since returning, I've meant to make an update video to let everyone know how I've been, but it really just does not stop coming. So I decided today I'm gonna sit down and chat with you guys and give everybody a bit of a life update. I do want to preface this by saying I'll be touching some pretty heavy topics in this video. I'm gonna try and keep it as light as possible, but you know how these things can be. You guys might also know some of what I'm gonna be talking about since I've mentioned it here and there in my social medias. With that being said, let's get started on this year's recap while you guys watch me design my new OC Junebug. Now, obviously taking a year-long hiatus is not something that I anticipated doing. I kept telling myself that I was going to come back to creating content when life settled down, and that just kind of never happened, and it never really felt like content creation was on the horizon for me. I want to preface this by saying that I am in a much better place now than I was last year. I am doing very well in life. I'm finally settling into a nice groove and a nice routine where I'm at, and I really do enjoy it. So we're going to start from the very beginning. Okay, I'm not gonna go super into detail on a lot of these situations. There's only about one or two that I'm really gonna delve on. There are a couple situations that I'll mention within this video that I'll actually end up making a separate video about to talk about in more detail. But for now, this is supposed to be an overarching life update. So to start, a lot of you know, if you've watched my videos, that I was living with my partner and his family after some security issues I was having at my previous residence. So I lived with my partner and his family for about a year and ended up moving out last August. I stayed with a friend of mine for a while, and I was initially supposed to move in with her permanently, but things ended up happening where that was no longer possible. During the time that I stayed with her, I was in the process of trying to get my dog back. For those who don't know, I have a Pekingese Chihuahua wiener dog mix named Beetle. I have had her since the day she was born. I found her mother as a stray, and I have raised this puppy from the ground up. When I moved in with my partner and his family, I was not allowed to bring my dog with me, so Beetle had to go stay with a friend of mine. Now, after moving in with this friend, I was trying to get in contact with my other friend to get my dog back. Long story short, she ghosted me the day she was supposed to drop my dog off, and I proceeded to not hear from her for about 2 weeks. And because she had moved so much within the time that I had given her my dog, and then I had no clue where she lived. I ended up going on an internet deep dive to try and find out where she lived, because if there's one thing being a YouTuber it's taught me, it's that your personal information is not very personal or private. So I ended up finding her home address, and I showed up, and there was definitely a fight. There was a physical fight involved, and that is something that I will delve on later, but I did eventually end up getting my dog back. Now, after this, and unrelated to this issue, I did end up moving out of the apartment that I was staying in with my other friend. I ended up stumbling upon a really cool opportunity to move to a new town and get an apartment there. And I had to put a lot of thought into it because this new town was hours away from my hometown where I grew up. And a lot of you know I've never left my hometown, so it was very scary to think about the possibility of kind of leaving and starting my life over somewhere else. But I ended up deciding to go through with the opportunity, and I moved a couple hours away from my hometown. And the first couple months were really fun. It was really fun to explore the area, to finally have that sense of independence back and decorate my apartment. I had my dog back. Things were going really well. This was at the point where I felt like my life was starting to settle down a little bit. There was some drama that followed me from moving out of my other friend's house that I was trying to de-escalate. It was kind of a doxing 2.0, where my old roommate had released my phone number online as a way to get back at me for some things that happened while I lived with her. And I might potentially go into detail on what happened with her at a later date, but I don't really want to rehash it now, mostly because I'm sure that she still watches my videos. So about a month after moving to my new town, things were going well. I was still in a relationship with my partner, and I was driving to see him every weekend. I was driving to my hometown to pick him up, to bring him back to my apartment for the weekend, to then bring him back home on Sunday, and then drive myself back home. So it was a lot of driving. It was a lot of back and forth. It was a lot of one-way commutes, which was fine. I didn't mind. I enjoyed seeing him, and I enjoyed making the drive until my car got totaled. On the way home from dropping him off one weekend, what the mechanic described to me was basically that my entire engine exploded on the highway. I got stranded an hour from home. I ended up being told that the repairs to the car would cost almost double what my car was worth, so I had it totaled out and I didn't have a car for a while. That kind of sent me into a bit of a spiral for a while because my main solace for moving as far away as I did was that I would always be able to go back and visit my hometown when I wanted to, and with my car being totaled, that felt like it was so out of reach now. After having my car totaled and not being able to leave my house, I started realizing a lot of things about my relationship. He was not a very kind person. It's not necessarily that I did not know what kind of relationship I was in. It was more so that I did not have the strength to get out of it. And moving as far away as I did kind of became my stepping stone. It kind of became my exit strategy. And it took me months of therapy to realize that I was a victim of abuse. Or more specifically, I was able to realize how much of the relationship was abuse. So I moved on from that relationship in late November. And obviously there was grieving that had to be done for that relationship, despite how poorly I was treated. But there was also a very strong sense of relief to finally be out of a situation that I did not want to be in for a really long time. Now, this half of the year was probably the worst because everything was just happening back to back to back. My car getting totaled and me breaking up with my long-term partner happened within like 2 weeks of each other. And then not even a week after I broke up with my partner, I got the news that my mother passed away. And I don't really talk about my mother on social media because our relationship was very tumultuous and turbulent, and I didn't really want people to know that aspect of my life. But prior to finding out that she had passed, my mother and I actually had not spoken for years. I had cut her off back in 2020, and I had not spoken to her since. So there were a lot of mixed feelings when I got that call. Of course, I tried to be there as much as I could for my sisters. Planning the funeral took a while. Obviously, I was making posts on social media to help and earn some funds, and the funeral ended up being a really nice event. It was really nice to hear people talk so kindly of my mother and really pinpoint the good memories that they all had with her. After all of these things happening to me in a way that felt like it was all at once, kind of put me in a fog for a couple months. I remained pretty stagnant in my life. I wasn't necessarily going back, but I wasn't going forward. And that's when I decided to try therapy. So I started seeing my therapist a couple months ago, and it has been super, super helpful for me to acknowledge a lot of the things that have happened to me and heal from them. And I now have a super great support system. Ending the relationship that I was in really gave me what felt like a new lease on life. I have really started to enjoy my alone time. I have reconnected with a lot of my friends, and I've created some really amazing bonds with the people that I have in my life now. And I genuinely do not know I would be without them. I appreciate them all so much. And they are a huge reason as to why I was able to come back full force with my content and why I'm able to continue moving forward and strive for better. Now, obviously, I have goals by the end of the year. I do really like the town that I live in. I think it's very quaint. It's very scenic. I really like it, but I do want a change of pace. It has always been a goal of mine to move out of my home state. And so I am currently making plans to make another big move at the end of this year. And despite all of the trials and tribulations that took place throughout the last year, it has been a really great year for me art-wise. I have learned how to rig. I know if you follow me on TikTok, I'm sure you've seen that I've learned how to animate a little bit. This little snippet is very much still in the early stages, but I am in the process of making my own video game. So all in all, there was a lot of ups and downs, but I do not think that I would change this year for anything because a lot of what happened to me this year taught me a lot about myself and taught me how to manage my mental health a lot better. And if you guys are wondering, Beetle is doing fantastic. She's doing amazing. I'll throw some pictures of her up on screen so you guys can love her just as much as I do. Overall, I'm super proud of where I'm at now. And I think that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys with the rest of the video so you can finish watching the speed paint, and I will be back afterwards to chat a little bit after the video. enjoyed this week's video. I know it was a little heavy, but sometimes life is a little heavy, and that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you just gotta roll with the punches. Next week I am posting a storytime video, so look out for that. Down below, I'm gonna have linked my Patreon if you guys want to go ahead and check it out. Thank you to all of my current Patreon supporters. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.